Why, hello there. And welcome to season 2 of Super Pros Bros. I'm player 1, Ike, and with me, as always, is.
Player Zoom, Eli, and Marco Brolo. Did you know this podcast is available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify?
What? I did not, Robocop. Are those the places they could
Like,
share
comment?
and subscribe?
Yeah, it sure is.
Read that backwards as fuck.
Nobody knew till you said it.
Yeah, but I did. I have no filter. It's 4 hours of sleep o'clock, and I'm here with my first and one of many cups of coffee.
They're gonna say first and only sibling for a second. It's like, what?
After what I did. What's going on, man? We're back after our hiatus. How are you doing?
Hiatus? Is that like a hiatus?
Perhaps. Maybe it's more compact and shorter.
Is one just more spiteful? What?
Yes. I didn't hear it that way. I heard it was, never mind. I heard like I didn't pronounce. I got all French on it and just didn't pronounce a letter.
French pronounce like 9 extra. Anyway, oh, just I don't know, hanging around and keeping my usual retinue of watching too many horror movies.
Well, it is the season.
Tis the season. It's actually socially appropriate, I suppose.
Now we're recording this on, depending which state you're in, either Halloween or the day before Halloween.
Yeah, so it is the spoopy time of year.
You say spoopy?
Yep.
Is that like spooky? Like we're all just like we're over here being.
I don't know why the internet loves doing it spoopy, but they
like
do.
It's okay. I thought you were just. I thought you were also exhausted. No.
No, those deliberate.
My tired ass. Okay.
But yeah, outside of that, I'm just dragging my depressed ass to actually go edit and do the responsible thing, which is not always fun, but necessary.
That subject is for another episode for sure. One where
sure.
This guy's a little bit more cognizant. What do you for this spoopy type of year? Like, what do you like to do for spoopaline? Nope, that's not a thing.
Working too hard. I generally don't do a whole hell of a lot. If it's on like on a weekend, there's been times I've gone to like a house party or something because it is a convenient excuse to drink.
Do you get the candy and hand it out to the kids?
No, generally opt out of it. Like,
screw you kids, this candy's for me.
But also I don't want to deal with people coming to my door. Fuck off. Like,
just put a flaming bag of shit right on your doorstep just so they get the idea. Like,
just paint like lamb blood across my doorway. That'll keep everyone away. Really make a show of it too.
That would be a great thing that they could sell like a dollar store or something like that. Lamb blood for the spirit of God and children or whatever. What is it that like goes through and like kills all the Egyptians?
There's there's basically the Holy Spirit smiting the firstborn, and the idea is that, dude, lamb's blood, so it passes over your house. It doesn't fucking kill your kids.
Get it?
Pass
over.
Jewish traditions, they're super gory.
And ham-fisted funny.
Also that.
Is that a triple entendre? Because like ham, they can't eat it.
No, because the ham it's not kosher.
So you're an old man at the ripe age of
fucking 28. Yeah. 29.
Wait, 20, you're 29 this year. I'm turning 35 and 29. See, you don't even know how old you are. They're just fitting right in with that old man mythos. Just like
completely fucking senile.
Do you do the pro gamer move and go to supermarkets in November 1st and just get like gobs of cheap candy?
If I want to, yes. But since I have tried to like omit most sugar out of my diet so I don't become a fat ass. I probably won't this year.
Wise
I mean,
choice. I will try to do the
yeah,
same.
but there will be discount Snickers that will tempt me should I walk into Safeway. Like, I see you.
I see
Every
you.
Hershey's product,
You son of a bitch.
all the Mars
Where's
bars.
what's your, if you were to go out as an adult and trick or treat, what's your like most preferred versus least preferred candy bar that they could give you?
Like candy bar or candy period?
Candy period, like candy
Candy
object.
period. Like, all right, hot tamales are not fucking candy. Those are fucking cinnamon pills. Anyone that tries to, I'm a guy who likes cinnamon. Get that shit out of here. Nobody has ever eaten those unironically, or like on purpose. They, like an accident,
Yeah.
you may have grabbed them out of a bag and like, oh Jesus, like spat them out.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking wants those.
Yeah.
Christ on a bike. If we're gonna go the opposite end, give me the Reese's. I've always been a sucker for Reese's.
How do you feel about Reese's Pieces?
I like Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces versus M&M's. Are they in competition? Are they friendly neighbors? Is one like vastly better than the other? Where do you stand on that divide?
Friendly neighbors. I think generally for me, I like the kind of marriage of peanut butter and chocolate a lot. So
okay,
I'm
so
generally
you take
more inclined for Reese's Pieces. I'm not going to be like
Reese's Pieces.
Why are you fucking over enunciating it like
I
that?
don't know. It's from something. It's reminiscent of something. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Anyway,
Shut up.
yeah, like I would say more along the lines of like friendly neighbors.
Okay, fair enough.
But you, what are you doing this spooky season?
Change in occupations. I just put in my less than 2 week notice because, yeah, I think it's like ended up being like 11 days or something. But
fight the power. 3 days they'll be scrambling.
Fuck the man. Yeah, it's the easiest to replace position
Fuck him.
probably
He's cute.
in the world. Nice.
Sorry.
My last day, oddly enough, is my birthday, which is coming up this Friday. So
it's my birthday gift to me.
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
Yep. I mean, yes, absolutely that. So I'm going from working at a casino and to foraying into substitute teaching. So God help the children. It's just gonna get real ugly. But yeah, doing that. Got to have a nearly cinematic experience the other day as I was like dealing my last table. This guy was coughing, and this is probably just a for you thing, Broskinkowski, but the scene in the beginning of the Australian F for Family Treasure Island, the way that Billy Bones like coughs, that like alcoholic rasp.
Yeah.
Well, it's that
Oh yeah,
like that thing. I saw somebody doing it in real life, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh, that's just what alcoholics do when they cough." Because this guy was like brown bagging in like a Balenciaga like roughed up jacket. It was hilarious. He's just like keeping it under. He would talk really loud, and then anybody would talk to him like medium, he would be like, "Shh." It was like clearly he didn't want to like raise awareness of his drunkenness and the fact that he was like sipping out of a Starbucks cup like some liquor. It was just like raw, and then just constantly
who do you think you're fooling?
The best part is, as we are still in COVID times, each time he gave a little like cough.
Yeah. Everyone looks at him sideways.
No, another person would order from the floor a mask or pull one out and put it on in efforts to protect themselves. Because they're like, dude, can you put on a mask? He's like, no, I'm fine. And they're just like, okay, I'm getting a mask then. And just like everybody wanted it was greed versus self-care in real time. They're just like, well, I want his money, so I'm not gonna leave, but I don't want to get COVID, so mask, please. It's fucking hilarious.
Hedge our bets a little bit here.
Yeah. Because the guy was awful and just like burning money and playing in this super exploitive way, but then also coughing like I was kind of waiting for him to keel over, just like with that. My only mental comparison is a drunk guy who then collapses and dies in like the first bit of a film.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, let's get into our topic today.
Seamless transitions.
Boom shakalaka. We did it. So our subject this week is our favorite and or worst intros to stories.
Yeah.
So you mind if I kick it off?
Floor is yours.
So I'm not much of a horror fan, as some of you, my co-pilot especially, may know. However,
chicken shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The bitchiest of bitches is this guy. The franchise Final Destination has this conniption is not the right word.
Fever dream?
No, just like something they're constantly doing that they're unable to stop. I think of a C word. Whatever. They, in each of the Final Destination movies, as far as I know, I've only seen it a handful of them, and especially intros, which is again funny because I'm not the horror guy here, and I've seen more of this horror-ish franchise. However, the intros are all the same. They're kind of what the series is known for, to be honest, is that characters are about to do X, some event. It's almost always usually a lot of characters coming from different backgrounds or, only connected through school or something. And there is going to be a horrific event that happens. However, one of the characters sees into the future, doesn't like look around and notice the shoddiness of the circumstance, but just sees in the future, sees that bad things going to happen. Some of them are able to escape, almost not usually all of them, but they're able to escape, and then death like basically chases them down through a series of just random fuck all events.
So it brings about the cartoony schlocky deaths.
Yeah. Yes, it is the most hokey of horrors. However, one of the things that's problematic is that they show the bloody scene and then it doesn't happen, so you get this kind of it was all a dream thing, which I think is better. To its credit, it's most endings that are it was all a dream or just leave you seething with anger and discontentment. Having it at the beginning and then giving people what they didn't get story-wise, in quotes, is better, but it's still like it's kind of, it's not cop-out's not the right word, but it's definitely schlocky. It's cheating is what it is. You get to see all the value with none of the ramifications.
Yeah.
So they're cheating a bit.
It is all sizzle, no steak.
Indeed. Speaking of steaks, what would you like to sit down and not eat?
It is there is a very iconic start to a movie, to a series of movies that I fucking abhor. And it's Star Wars. I like Star Wars. I'm not going to say I'm a fanatic. I haven't read every kind of fucking... Anyway, it's great music, iconic, whatever. Trilogy, we're not going to talk about it. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff that kind of very much missed, but there's a lot good. But the intros are dog shit. Consistently. They're dog shit because they all do the same fucking thing because of this iconic, you come to expect it, the scrolling text. Fuck you. Just... It's so dumb.
The Star Wars intro is like...
You're info dumping, and you're not even having someone read it at them. Like, you're having this slow...
Yeah.
Like, God forbid you have a blind person in the audience. And your fucking aide has to, narrate it to them. Because you can't just have a character say it for us.
Yeah.
You knob.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's the perfect encapsulation of what
It's
is
the
bad in
card.
film is like, just exposition, except even here you
Yeah,
don't have somebody reading it who potentially could be
like for
intriguing and
God's
add
sakes,
inflection.
doing that in books is a cardinal sin. For fuck's sake. And that's not a motive. That's not a motion-based medium.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's bad
bad
wherever you
writing.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad in the
It's
version
it's not
that
even
doesn't have pictures.
it's bad and just lazy as fuck. Like, it's
It's
cool. It's
so
like
bad.
the only reason it isn't like hated is because Star Wars is so lauded and so iconic
Yeah,
that kind of, the first time it never been done before, cool, and they just like stuck to their guns, even
stuck
if it
to. I
is the
mean, at a
most
certain
like
point, like you're
lazy
doing it, you're
shit ever.
committed.
Yeah.
Like I get why, but also fuck you. Like just have C-3PO give like a goddamn PSA and be like, "We're
Oh, that
caught up
actually
now."
might be worse. On a
Maybe.
distant land, far away. just this disconjointed like speaking pattern that would take longer than the scroll, I think, and be more obnoxious.
Like it's just so stupid. Like
And
it's such an awful info dump
yeah. And actually, that's kind of it for our worst.
for our
Sadly,
terrible ones.
we did a lot of deep diving, and we could not come up with worse intros that we knew of to kind of point at as a no
There,
step.
yeah, there's a bunch of like things that are pretty lukewarm, but nothing that
Yeah,
I'm like, kill yourself.
yeah,
Like
nothing that makes you pull your hand out of the pot.
no.
But I guess one last final departure on that is, uh, so there is a archetype of intro that I think it's kind of atypical, but this one really, these were two good examples of it. Was Anna and Children of Men. I'm saying two of them while all the rest of these are going to be one because we are departing from our worst. And Anna does something that isn't in the intro, but is in the rest of the movie that kind of makes me hate it, and why I wanted it to be share a category with a better film that does a similar thing. Which is, Anna is just a bad movie. It is loathed, and the intro does not belie the rest of it. So if any of you sound interested because of what I'm going to kind of mildly describe the intro, just watch the intro. It's cool. The rest of the movie is shit.
Stop there.
Yeah, you sadly reached the high point in the first 2 minutes. So Anna is about like kind of spy gamery between the U.S. and USSR back in like the 80s, and it starts off with a bunch of agents getting outed in the USSR, and the unfortunate happenings to them thereafter. Would highly recommend Googling or YouTubing Anna opening scene. You'll find it. It's awesome. However, the whole point of this, and same with the point of Children of Men, is to shock you, put you on your heels, and kind of introduce you to the world as it sits. I mean, that's all of these, intros. You're supposed to introduce you to the world in some way or another. And this one just takes you from, and just like, you start off in the car already going 100. You just kind of apparate into a sports
It
car.
just throws you into the deep end.
Children of Men, I think, does a better job because it's just a better movie. Also directed very well by Alfonso Cuarón, I believe. But so I'm going to more focus. Feel free to look up Anna. It's more spectacle than it is substance anyway. But Children of Men has this awesome opener with Clive Owen. It through background diegetic news footage, you kind of get and put into the circumstance of the story. Clive Owen goes out, he's getting a coffee. All these people are watching this really sad news story about, in Children of Men, there are no more babies being made. And the youngest man alive had just died at like the age of 18 or something like that. No kid had come out since then. Comes in, sees this news footage in like a little coffee shop. Everybody's kind of staring at it transfixed because it is like this, seemingly pivotal moment for the world at that time, that the youngest man alive is no longer and nobody else is being made. It's kind of, it puts this
beginning of the end.
Yeah, this weight on the life of all who live it. And Clive Owen comes in, and it's a great intro to the scene because you have everybody looking up at this, and then Clive Owen comes in this coffee shop and just clearly doesn't care. He's not like against the news and like, this is stupid, why do you guys care? But he's just like over it.
Yeah.
He just comes in, he's just kind of like, I got shit I need to do, this sucks. But he's very much just kind of in going through life in a bit of a malaise where even the most tragic events don't seem to affect him. Goes in, gets his coffee, goes outside, and then the coffee shop gets bombed. It's just like, welcome to Children of Men, bitch. It's just like, buckle up. It's like, oh shit. It's like, it continues to just like shock you, put you on your heels, and introduce you to the circumstance surrounding it. It's very perfect in that regard.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Um,
and what you got?
So I am a bit of a sucker for like musical overlay isn't quite the right word, but a good example is the start of the show Arcane, because you know we can't jerk this show off enough. But it starts and there's no word spoken. It's just Powder singing as you're walking through this like smoky bridge that is clearly just a staging ground for violence. Like, and her sister is having her cover her eyes as she leads her out of this like what you learn later to be like carnage site where their parents just died. Like it's such a good flashback that you get to very quickly see three characters set up in. You get to see Vander changing his tune and taking care of people. You get to see Vi established as protector, and Powder is the person who's kind of lost in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And like, no spoken words, just a kid singing.
Yeah, the opposite of Star Wars. No words.
Yeah,
just
all just emotion.
Yeah,
and it's really well done, and it doesn't fucking overstay its welcome. Like it does it pretty quick.
Maybe 2 minutes, probably
maybe
less.
It's like maybe 2 minutes. Like it's So I think that another kind of contender with a similar kind of thing with like a flashback to be explained later and this establish a character and a main character, but like the start of Cowboy Bebop, where it's a flashback to Spike's life as a gangster, where he's got the music box over the top of it. It's almost like an antithetical to the gunfire. It's just this very light music.
Yeah, it's light as in that the keystrokes on the piano are being played very deftly.
It's very soft.
Yeah.
It's a very melancholic tune, but it's very diametrically opposed to like the active gunfight.
Yeah, it's a very good juxtaposition of having this light, music box over, just like these violent and visceral images. It's a very great juxtaposition, to be sure.
Yeah. But out of the wordless and emotional, what else? What do we got going on? What's next on your list?
I do not know how to typify this one. It's just really fun to me and one of my favorites, and it's Lord of War. It's the creation of the bullet. For those of you who haven't seen it, again, give this a YouTube kind of fun thing, I guess, here that I'm just realizing as we're going through this. These are all spoilers and not spoilers, as they are the first minutes of good shit. So I'm gonna spoil these. I don't have to hold back at all. Not that there's much to hold back here. Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage on his good days.
The coin flip came up heads.
Yeah, exactly. When Nick Cage signs a movie script, the gods flip a coin. In the beginning of this film, it just follows a bullet, and I don't believe you know why. It's just like, it's this intro of a bullet going through a factory and then going through each of its destinations, getting checked, getting put into a box, getting shipped, getting
processing,
loaded,
shipment, delivery. Yeah. Doesn't it end with it being fired?
Ends up being fired into like a kid's head in like,
oh god,
Nigeria or something like that. Yeah, some Somalia, some war-torn African country, and just gets shot into some kid's head, I think, or something like that. It goes hard pretty fast, but it's just the mechanical nature of it all, and just like this presentation with, it doesn't feel like there's any emotion to it. It's just here's info, but it just, there's something about it that just every time gets me. It is very apt, especially for the movie that comes next, where so much of it, of the main character, is this kind of, he's not really a part of society in a traditional sense, and especially in the way the movie shows it. So showing it as so detached, really, like the bullet making as an object, it detaches you from humanity. You're looking
Yeah.
at people picking it up. They are larger than life because this bullet is very much large in frame, and then somebody picking up a bullet would be humongous. So it kind of
Yeah.
puts you at this odds of humanity, which is I think one of the major plights of the main character. So I guess it really does kind of fit to introduce the tone of the film in a very unorthodox way. And as the Orthodox Jews believe, I don't know where I'm going with.
Stop. Just stop there, please. You don't. You can just pass the mic.
All right.
Don't have to get weirdly Semitic or anti-Semitic. I don't know which direction it's going.
That was just factual. I was just gonna say, like, the Jews believe in like the Ark of the Covenant. And, like, what about? I don't know where I was going with that. I am on so little sleep.
Go and
You
read us
guys
the
are getting
Lost
me at
Ark. I'm
my
stopping you.
most
Stop. Put it on the mic, sir.
rambling.
Put it down. Where's the Lost Ark? Because Indiana Jones is a banger. Everyone loves Indiana Jones. We don't talk about the fourth one. Shut up. It doesn't exist. It can't hurt you if it isn't real. But Raiders of the Lost Ark does a great character showcase for Indy. There, you could argue that what is the one for the Grail?
Search for the Holy Grail. Yeah,
Search for the Grail does a very
so.
similar thing, where it does a great job showcasing Indiana Jones and just kind of the relentless grit and determination and a very goal driven but not an uncaring dude.
Yeah.
And so Raiders of the Lost Ark has the like the known, the boulder bit rolling after him and the whip across the little like kind of crevasse, and it's iconic. It's the iconic like not chase scene but fleeing scene that is so tied to Indiana Jones as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a great, like, I think that was actually the first Indiana Jones movie I'd ever seen, and like I immediately knew who this guy was. Like,
yeah,
that was it. Like, oh, this is the guy. Okay, here's what we're working with. So it's a really good kind of reminder to your audience, or just introduction to your audience. Like, this is who we're working with here. Got it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of like, again, like one of the things I think we're gonna notice here a lot is like there's a lot of like non-verbal storytelling in a lot of these. You get to kind of know a lot of these characters through what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Arcane, you get to see the way the characters act. There's no words being really spoken between them. And Lord of War, nobody's saying any words. That one's more of a setup of the circumstance rather than the character. At Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's so much of this character being set up, and he says, like, basically, I think his only lines are "throw me the rope" in the intro. Like, he really
is like a little more, but not much.
Yeah, and you're just getting to see the way the character acts and like learn about him. Like you're saying, like, we know that he is resourceful. We know that he's smart. We know that he's willing to get his hands dirty. There's so many little things we can pick up from the actions he takes. He's trusting but not stupid.
Yeah.
With when it comes to getting back across the bridge, he hears the guy. He's very smart and cagey. Like, he hears the guy pulling out the gun well before he should. Is ready with the whip. All these little things subconsciously. I don't think you would consciously know you're being introduced to the character, and I think that's probably what makes it great. Is that is one of those things that just kind of you just subconsciously know so much about this character without being told directly. All print roll.
But what's next in the hit parade?
Next up we have the bananas beginning of No Country for Old Men. Very much in kind of, interestingly enough, from Children of Men to No Country for Old Men, very much as a kind of seemingly normal beginning that like slams you into the world. But this one does it much more focusing on the antagonist of the film, if you want to call him that, in Anton Chigurh, played by Javier Bardem. But also, and this is kind of one of those interesting ones. It's the beginning is almost like wall to wall. It's not dialogue. I guess it's dialogue. It's not characters talking. So it's just a monologue, I guess, from Tommy Lee Jones that just plays out over like 60% of the intro before it gets to the meat of the scene. But it really does set the landscape in a very perfect way of kind of the way one of the characters thinks and one of the characters acts, which is very interesting because if you look at the story, Tommy Lee Jones actually doesn't end up doing that much. Mild spoiler alert. He's just kind of like
there,
almost along for the ride as much as we are as the viewer. And so to have him doing a predominant amount of the talking where Javier Bardem does the predominant amount of the acting is it's very emblematic of the way the rest of the movie is going to be, I think. What about you, bro? What you got next on the hit parade?
I'm gonna hit us with one more literary.
Ooh.
So I started reading the series The Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, who is an outstanding author. And this colossal series of his has a very, very strong opening chapter. In that its opening chapter is you're watching an assassination take place.
Savage.
It's brutal, and the dude who's running it, because you follow from the perspective of the assassin, who doesn't really know why he's being told to do this. He doesn't make sense of it. He just knows that it's his duty to do so. So he does. And he just waxes people left, right, and center. Because he knows how to use a magic that they don't. And so he just kind of jumps around. It's actually really cool. Brandon Sanderson does a very good job with magical systems in general. They're very creative and very unique. And not just, like, they often have rule sets. And so Stormlight Archives is no different. And so there is a group of people who know how to manipulate Stormlight and use it to basically change, not quite gravity, but sort of. And so, like, at times he flips which way is up and down for him. So, like, he just runs at people and then throws himself down a hallway because forward becomes down for him. So he just starts falling and just kicks somebody in the chest. Things like that. He just rapidly shifts perspectives and just dances around these guardsmen who have no chance. And it ends with him just, like, killing a king and starting a war. And that is how it sets the stage for, like, this massive conflict that continues going as the book moves forward because time advances. It's like, oh, damn. So it does a really good job setting up a plot, but you don't have all the answers. You just clearly know why. Like, you know what happened. You don't know why it happened, though. Because he doesn't know why it happened. He just was told to do, so he does. Because it's not his place to say no.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is a banging intro, and Brandon Sanderson does not miss with magic systems, like, or just power systems in general. They're very cool. And passing the mic back to you. What's next?
As I finish my coffee and crack my knuckles, it's time to get to the bad guy. We kind of talked about it a little bit. I don't know about Way of Kings. Is that guy a good guy or bad guy?
The assassin is not a good guy. I
All
don't
right, so
think.
went from bad guy to bad guy, no controllable man, Way of Kings. Let's keep the ball rolling with Inglorious Bastards, and arguably one of my favorite villains of all time. And Hans Landa, played amazingly by Christoph Waltz.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. So
Yeah,
good.
it's one of my favorite scenes of all time, one of my characters of all time, with one of my directors of all time. So of course it makes this list. The beginning of Inglorious Bastards is just Quentin Tarantino at his like most evil, which is great. It's like kind of his Empire Strikes Back moment where he just lets the bad guy win from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
Just start off with like just you lose. Somewhere between the change in language, because just I love playing around with languages, so it's really cool and it fits in the circumstance that the reason he's talking, that they go from either French or German, I can't quite remember, to English is so right. Hold on, now I need to actually
They
double.
go from uh, I think they go from German to English.
Hold on, I want to see this. I'm trying to remember. Holy fuck, this intro is long.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes
Um,
longer.
no, it's like 20.
What? Really?
Yep.
That can't be 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it. It's 20 minutes. As long as fuck. It's
Really?
Quentin. I'm not surprised. I'm looking at
20?
it on YouTube. I got
20?
it 19 minutes and 19 seconds from soup to butts. Um, but yeah, they start off in. I'm assuming this is German or French. I can't quite tell. Hold on, I'm gonna unmute this. I believe they're starting off in French because they are in the French countryside, so that would make sense.
Mm.
And as if anyone wants to throw shade at Quentin, I mean, everybody's allowed to have their opinion. I'm going to disagree with you guys, but he is very much one thing which is kind of consistent with the circumstance he sets. So if they're in France, the likelihood that speaking to a Frenchman, the main character would be speaking French is like pretty strong. So without like pausing the podcast, actually like listen and figure it out because it doesn't say French or German on the screen. It goes from French to English, and the reason for that is he doesn't want the Jews that are underneath that he presumes are somewhere in the house to hear him and what he's saying.
And
He also doesn't,
understand.
understand what he's saying and like run or do something dire. And also the women in the house. I'm presuming he doesn't want to know just in case they could do something, give away something or like help them escape while he's
No.
there. So it very much fits with the circumstance. And then you have like one of the most badass power struggles I think showed on film in the most like simplistic sort of way between the pipe and asking for food and just the way it's almost like a war played in the most delicatessen sort of fashion. They're smoking pipes, all this stuff. And it's just these little things and how he knows and deduces and all this like kind of cat and mousery that happens verbally
Mm-hmm.
with no weapons are drawn or anything till the very end. But the fight's already over at that point. It's just so amazing. It's just a sight to behold. And for me, it just, hats off as always to Quentin. What about you, bro? You
19
gotta,
minutes.
yeah. Quentin
Really?
knows how
Yeah.
to milk a scene.
God damn, I guess. Just
Yeah.
let Christoph Waltz choose the fat. It's all good.
Yeah. It's like kind of one of the perfect things about him. I'm gonna take a moment now. It's just like a lot of his movies is he just knows how to write and knows how to let his actors do what they do best, which is act. And just like
Fair enough.
it doesn't need to be a big thing. He just like lets it play in the small. And also,
That's
just
fair.
I'm rewatching this as we're talking about it. The way he shot the scene is just fucking gorgeous. It's a lot of, as it's Quentin, there's a lot of homages. The last shot in the scene is like very much paying deference to the end of The Searchers. It's just, God damn, it's just so beautiful. It's just
All right, before you cream your pants, I'm gonna introduce
too
another
late.
villain. Ah, shit. While you change your pants, I'm gonna introduce another villain. Um, in a bit more of a frenetic scene, I I love the start of The Dark Knight. That whole bank robbing scene.
Yeah.
It's it does just such a good job coming in. You're coming in completely blind, and you're just taken for a ride, and you're watching people just turn on each other. And there's just that one guy who doesn't talk till they show you who it is, and it's such a
Yeah.
great fucking dramatic reveal because who the fuck wears clown makeup under a clown mask? Um, and the fact that they do something so different with his voice and everything. Like
Yeah.
he's so odd and out
Mm.
of place.
Yeah.
Like and they do such a good job of painting him as just so other. Um and God, Heath Ledger carries the shit out of that movie. And it's one of the best. I think that will be the best ever representation of Joker. Sorry, Joaquin Phoenix. Um, you're not beating it. And it's such a good show, like introduction, like, oh, we're here to play. Like, it's just so good with very little time of you knowing that's the Joker too.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sets. I mean, he says he's like two lines basically. Just no. I kill the bus driver,
Mm-hmm.
and I think whatever doesn't kill you makes you a stranger. He's two
Yeah.
lines the whole scene. That's it.
Yeah.
It's still just great.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And I also love that one of the other thieves figures out. He's like, you know,
Yeah, it does a very it it plays with convention and then it plays with the idea of humanity interacting with convention, which I think is like really smart. You know, it tells us that the writer very much expects his characters to be intelligent, and so that there's a lot
yeah,
of they're not going to just end up in circumstances and not realize why like these characters are thinking, just like
yeah,
you know the director thought when he wrote it. So it really is tremendous.
yeah. All right, are we introducing more villains next on the list? Or are
Yes
we?
and no. I'm still
Oh,
gonna stick on my Quentin Tarantino kick. Reservoir Dogs has a great intro, not because it
mm-hmm,
does shit for the film.
mm-hmm,
It really doesn't. The looking back, there's a modicum of like, okay, so like they're doing this, but it's really nothing. All you get is little bits and pieces about a couple of the characters that doesn't matter. It just helps you acclimate to the circumstance and the way the writer likes to talk. And I think that, especially for an early Quentin film, especially at the time, I think that was good. And just in general, just like putting your viewer in a scene where they can get comfortable before shit starts to move, as opposed to shocking them and putting on their heels. This is the
yeah,
equivalent of giving them a cup of tea and a blanket and just letting them get all snug. You know, which is funny because, you know, all Reservoir Dogs is talking about is like the idea of it. They break down, was it Madonna's Like a Virgin, and then they talk about not tipping. That's the scene, and it's like 5 something minutes, and it does fuck all. Like the character that talks the most is Quentin, and his character, slight spoiler, his character dies like early on and or doesn't exist as far as the rest of the movie is concerned. But he has this like monologue in the beginning talking about Like a Virgin for no particular reason, and then we find out Steve Buscemi doesn't tip. That's it. It doesn't do shit for the story. The movie plays fine without it. It plays better for it, not because of anything interesting or even particularly character development, but just kind of getting used to the speech patterns, a little bit of the setup, but mostly just getting comfy with the kind of mise en scène, the vibe that the director is putting out there. I
yeah,
think that really does make a big difference. It's it's a little bit more Lord of War-y than any of these other ones, but not by much. It's mostly just, yeah, it's a it's a blanket, a lot of curse words, and a cup of tea. Speaking of getting comfy with your circumstance, what you got next on the old Dacarino?
So I'm pulling another literary one, and as much as I don't really love the series. It's got merit to it, but the introduction, if nothing else, for Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events is great, because if nothing else, it just tells you.
Yeah.
It just tells you. And Lemony Snicket has a very stylized manner of narrating, which is something that's hard to do and be genuinely distinct. I'm just going to read the first, like, 100 words, because it's so
Frito
great.
Fue.
If you are interested in stories with happy endings, you would be better off reading some other book. In this book, not only is there no happy ending, there is no happy beginning, and very few happy things in the middle. This is because not very many happy things happened in the lives of three Baudelaire youngsters. Violet, Klaus, and Sonny Baudelaire were intelligent children. They were charming and resourceful and had pleasant facial features, but they were extremely unlucky, and most everything that happened to them was rife with misfortune, misery, and despair. I'm sorry to tell you this, but that is how the story goes. It fucking tells you. Like, it doesn't mince words. It doesn't even pretend. It doesn't give you a semblance of optimism. And it's just such a very specific type of narration.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, if nothing else, it like Lemony Snicket has a very distinct style of writing, and it is immediately apparent from page one how it's gonna go. And it is really good. And like, I think I read that book, I don't know, 15 years ago. I still remembered it.
Freaking rad. It's so dope.
You want happy? Not here, boys. Like, it's not like
Well,
affronting. It's like mildly apologetic. It's like, sorry, but
that's all I got. Take it or leave it.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, if you do want happy, I have an intro for you.
What do you got?
Baby Driver, directed by another one of my all-time faves in Edgar Wright. Baby Driver starts off exactly very similar to the way a music video started off, which is clearly the what's the word I'm looking for? Like Italian word for birth. Or not Italian, sorry, Latin word for birth. Hold on, I need to find this.
Oh, fuck. Where is this going?
Just, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. So back in, what year was it? I need to find out what year this was. Back in 2003, Edgar Wright did the music video Blue Song for Mint Royal. And if you watch it and then watch Baby Driver, it's clear that he's been wanting to do this for a minute. It follows the exact same thing. Job happens. Driver is just dancing to the beat of a song and then drives off accordingly. So, and the same thing that happens in Baby Driver, a little bit more, kind of set up, especially explained later that this very much is a kind of thing that the main character Baby has to do because of like psychosomatic shit. But bank rob meets music, like bank robbery, car chase meets music video. Let's go. This is have a fun time. This is what we're here for. Stakes develop later, but this is so much just, great, fun music video, kinetic editing. It's just fantastic. It just, yeah, strap in, get ready for the ride, baby. So that's all it is. It's just exactly what I wanted, and it delivered.
Well, the last that I've got on our list is one that, in a way, does not deliver. The reason I say that is because when did was it 93 that the original Scream came out?
Let me check. 1996.
96. Okay. The original 1996 Scream advertise was it? Oh, for God's sake, what's that? Who do they
Drew
use for
Barrymore.
advertising? Hmm?
Oh, what? You lost me.
Um, and like all the ads for Scream, they
Yep.
show the one of the first scene. I can't remember the actress name.
The actress's name is Drew Barrymore. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So my brain was telling me Halle Berry. I'm like, that ain't it. Um,
No.
it couldn't be more wrong. Drew Barrymore was, you know, she was the face for this movie
Yeah.
in advertising. And the first 10 minutes of Scream is her suffering with like a home invasion, basically. Um, and, eventually just dead.
Yeah.
Just straight up. They they do not mince it. Just stab her a number of times and let her bleed on the floor.
They did Suicide Squad before Suicide Squad, basically.
Yeah. And it is a threatening 10 minutes too.
Oh yeah.
Because initially it's kind of like haha prank, Halloweenish, and then calls back like, yeah, I know you're
It
at the
goes
front of your
hard
house.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it escalates quickly.
Yeah.
And it gets hostile when he's like, don't you fucking hang up on me again.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah. It's
And then when they start saying,
amazing.
we know where you are in your house, and oh, look out back, we have your boyfriend. Like,
that is.
yeah, it's savage. Like,
Yeah.
it is a brutal opening.
Yeah.
That starts like pretty happy.
Yeah.
It goes downhill so fast.
Yeah.
And who you think is the main character is just cadavered.
Yeah. In a way that I think, like, I remember seeing the movie when I was in third or fourth grade. I think third grade. I watched it in the middle of the afternoon and I was traumatized for days. I was, that R rating was not in vain. Or PG-13, I don't know, either which way. I was too young to see that movie. And, 10-year-old me did not, or 9-year-old me did not take that well.
It did not jive well.
No. I had trouble sleepings. It was very good, and I can't imagine, like, and I saw that I wasn't expecting it because I've really never been exposed to horror movies. But even if I had been exposed to horror movies, I would have thought back then, given that she was billed as the main character, and most of the time, I think, especially when you start to know a character in horror movies, they usually don't die immediately. Sometimes they'll die later, but they usually don't get it that early.
Usually get some longevity, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you're being introduced to a character in a lot of horror movies, that's usually the main character, and the main girl doesn't die at the beginning or ever. Like, they're usually the one that survives. As a horror aficionado, am I going down the right path on that one?
Yeah, there is like the kind of cliche who dies in horror movies, and that it's more often right than it should be. But it's like
Black people, am I right?
Yeah, always like.
Sorry, that's
like,
the worst quote.
It's true. It's too true. It's like always the token black guy, and it's like, well, you're fucked.
Yeah. Later, tater.
Yeah, it's like
part
it's
of the reason
usually the nerd lives. The dumb ditzy girl's always bound to die.
I mean, if you think about this,
the
this makes
meathead is bound to die.
Yeah, I think take a second. I mean, this makes complete sense in an annoying, glib kind of way. But realize who writes movies. Nerds. Nerds write movies, and a lot of writing, incidentally or intentionally,
a lot of projection that happens in those.
Projection and wish fulfillment. So if you've been slighted by jocks because you're a nerd, especially depending upon the time period you're looking at, a lot of the movies that we're talking about were made back in the kind of almost like high school caste system of, if you're a nerd, you are, a shoot out of society, you're kind of lame. And so you don't get the girl, everybody, all the cheerleaders made in front of you, all the jocks threw you in trash cans, theoretically, right? So if you then get to make a movie, who are you going to kill?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. Why are they calling black guys so aggressively? I don't fucking know. That might just be it. Like, a lot of people that are given opportunities to write are just white. Most white people are intentionally or unintentionally racist. I don't know. Either which way, there's a lot of like, if you want to get into the psychological deep dive of it, it tracks in a weird way. But yeah, it very much is just like, let's kill these guys, let these people live. You gotta have you live to the end of it, because now you get to win, right? If
Yeah.
you're like the theoretical like nerd in like the 80s writing a movie to get back at those assholes that threw you in a locker. All right, that grandstanding aside.
That weird social commentary bit aside.
Yeah.
Um,
Any more to say about Scream, or should we throw it to a commercial break?
nope, I think we can throw it to commercial. I said what I wanted to say.
Came here, said what I want to say.
Going home.
Time to move some units. See you guys after the break.
Do you wish that you could engage in reckless acts of wanton violence? Do you wish that you had the confidence and constitution of a Navy SEAL? Do you wish that criminal liability was wildly subjective? If those ring true, action movies might just be for you. With plenty of morally questionable motives and plots that sacrifice substance for style and explosions, action movies appeal to those basal urges that make us want to make things go boom. So what are you waiting for, killer? The day isn't going to save itself.
And we hath returned.
What are we, Puritans?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
My puritanical brother. Nope, that doesn't track.
My brother in Christ.
Sweet Jesus. What you got to talk about story-wise of your own creation? Jeez, my word salad is thick today.
Dude, you're putting people with like aphasia to fucking credit. Anyway.
You writing anything cool this week, bro? Yeah, that better.
It's not worse. So, my thought that this got too big too quick. So we'll see what ever becomes of it. Is Riftling, and I've heard me talk for more than 10 seconds. I love supernatural garbage, and I love the idea of like magic existing in modern day. So my thought is, what if magic is something that is actually packageable? Like it is, you can ship it around. It's not just people are born with it. There's just mages and other people can get bent. But like, what if magic was a catalyst, like a consumable catalyst that you could, effectively produce and harvest? And so it's like somewhere between drugs and arms. So it's, so for all the governmental regulation that would be on it, there'd be tons and tons and tons of, underground demand for it because, well, you effectively get like wish fulfillment in a crystal. And so the thought was it'd be a catalyst driven by thought. And so you could accidentally destroy magic and do fucking stupid flippant garbage with it. Like if you got very angry and you wanted to set somebody on fire, well, suddenly you could, but you would accidentally burn through all your magic crystal. Oh, damn.
No, not my
And you just accidentally set somebody on fire because you were angry they fucking burned dinner one too many times. Like,
you bitch.
And so my thought would be the main character is one of these people called Riftlings, who are or were regarded as basically gods back in the day. And they're people who are born with innate magic kind of built into them because they're aliens. But it's fading. And so where they used to be like gods, now they just like are people that can do kind of gimmicky garbage. And it's taxing for them now. So it's like it kind of gets my thought is almost the old grizzled detective who's seen everything, like that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I've fucking been here, I've done this, I'm over it. And like, several centuries ago, he was viewed as a god walking among people, but now that people can like produce magic and it's like industrialized to a degree, and the fact that he's lost much of his original fucking juice and mojo, he's not that special. If anything, he's kind of hated at this point because he's other, and we know how people deal with other.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really cool. Is there like a moment that spurned this on for you that like kind of gave you this idea, or was this like a random thought that was like, bloop?
Honestly, I spent some time thinking about like cyberpunk-esque worlds, like some kind of like Cyberpunk 2077, Edge Runners, Judge Dredd, that kind of thing. And I don't know. Apparently, my brain decided I wanted to put my own little spin on it because I'm a sucker for fantasy.
Yeah. You are a creator. No. I think that's like one of the things that for a lot of people is a creation point, is seeing other good works and being like, yeah, but like, okay, I'd like to do something like that. Like so many good films and so many good creators, I don't want to say steal stuff, but they steal stuff. There's like this
the saying I've heard is that a plagiarist borrows from one source, a great author borrows from dozens.
Sure. That's one way of putting it.
Yeah, that's the, I think, probably the best and like most succinct way I've heard that, where you are inevitably copying something else. But it's like, as long as you're not just carbon copying one thing, at a certain point,
yeah,
everything has been done at least once.
Yeah,
so,
Simpsons did it.
Yes, Simpsons did it.
I remember I got to talk to the director of photography, Dean Cundy. Director of photography is the guy behind the camera, for those of you that aren't in the lingo know. And he was the cameraman on the first Halloween movie. He did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He did Jurassic Park. The guy is, old school cool, to be sure. And he was talking about, scenes that he'd shot. And so much of the time as a cinematographer, he would see things in a movie and goes, "Ooh, I want to do that." And he would just like, put his own spin on it, but very much copy the style of the shot.
Good.
Yeah. Ugh. And the way he said it, I don't know if he said it or I just thought of it, but it was like, shoot it like you stole it. It's just like just stealing shots and just being like, that's cool, I want to do that. Let's do that either bigger, better, different, whatever. You can see that in a lot depending upon how you want to look at, what mimicry looks like. But that's such a through line for so much of film, is like, oh, I want to do that. That looks fun. That looks cool. That looks dope. Yeah. Maybe try to level it up. Maybe try to put your own spin on it. Maybe just pay strong deference and homage to that shot. There was a really weird one that I didn't know, that was kind of random tangent. There is some Hitchcockian horror movie with Paul Newman, I think. Did you ever see the Grand Budapest Hotel?
No.
Okay, it's a movie by Wes Anderson. Beautiful. Recommend everybody go see it. There's a scene where a character is clearly being followed by a villainous figure. He tries to lose him in a library. Guy catches up to him. It does not go well for said side character. Womp womp.
Sure.
He paid a lot of deference to this Hitchcock movie where I think it's Paul Newman or maybe Robert Redford. I get those two confused sometimes because they're both beautiful leading men from back in the day. One of them is, I think it's Paul Newman, is realized he's being chased, goes into a library, and the way he loses him is he takes his shoes off at a certain point so that he can't hear him walking in this really loud, like granite library floor. And then he like slips out a different way and the guy just loses track of him. And he kind of like reverted the thing. Well, what if the guy wasn't that smart? He was very kind of atypical, didn't think about things in that way. And well, the guy gets followed even though he's trying to be like, sneaky, because the guy's just listening to where he's walking.
Yeah.
But that kind of, I see what you did there. I would like to do that too.
Yeah. What about you? What have you got cooking the old brain tank?
So I think this came out of a dream, or maybe I was seeing something like this happen that reminded me of this. But this idea of incredulity between siblings. Um, you can think
I'm in danger.
this more had to do with like it was reminiscent of the parable of the uh damn it, my brain, the prodigal son. There we go.
Okay.
Wherein one's hyper responsible, plays by the rules, the other one's very irresponsible. But it would, instead of being, dad interjects and teaches them both a lesson, and is like, this parable to show how the Father in heaven sees his children. This was just the reality of what would happen, and just the kind of dynamic between siblings if they were a little, they were a little on the edge just because of the way they live their life, and one of them, pardon me, one of them very much did everything good, was loving, was kind, was there for his folks, and the other one very much lived his own life, didn't come and see him that often, but was somehow, they loved it when he did. And the other one felt slighted by this, and then they die, and they're dealing with the ramifications of, burying their parents and dealing with all the shit that comes after it. And just the, the kind of shared history and how they deal with each other, and if, they find peace or if they leave on edge. I haven't quite figured this out yet. I know where I want to start, because there is this idea of, and even though, we are brothers and get along, I think, pretty darn swimmingly, there are still moments that, I don't know about you, but I will find myself, jealous, annoyed between either the way life has given or taken, and or the way our parents interact with us. There are still moments where it's just kind of like, I'll find myself thinking, being pissed off, and there's no good reason for it. But also, we're on very good terms. Our parents are both very alive, and I think love us both very much. There's no kind of, it's not, it's a fairly balanced weighting system, it feels like to me. I hope you feel the same way. But I can easily see, I still have those moments where I'm like, fuck you. Why does, XYZ? And I still feel that kind of, that rage, that discontentment. And it's like, well, what if there was more to that? What if they weren't, I don't want to give myself too much credit, but what if they weren't so well adjusted to kind of take a step back and look at the way they feel and realize how foolish they're being, and instead they let it fester? Or if there were outside things that told them more to feel that way, one way or the other.
So there's it isn't your jam, but Haunting on Hill House kind of does. I'm not going to say
the one with the guy that played Loki.
I don't think so. No, definitely not. It's written and directed by Mike Flanagan. He's done a number of horror shows that are fairly artful. Some of them are much better than others. Oh my god, assuming he did the writing for fucking Black Mass, holy shit, the man liked to jerk himself off way too hard. I could rant about that some of the time. But in this show, there's a lot of like, one of the big focal points of Haunting of Hill House is these siblings that all had this like fucked up childhood, basically for living a summer in this haunted house, and it just did a bunch of shit to them.
Did a number on them.
Yeah, did a number on them, and ended up with their mom dead under very mysterious circumstances, and it creates this massive rift, and it's very interesting to see how each one of the siblings kind of copes and how they take it out on each other or like click together.
Yeah.
So not a direct one-to-one, but there's kind of, as you were describing that, I hear some of the overlap almost, and how that plays out, and when they get like, confront each other when they're like put in the same room.
Yeah, it's a fairly base level story or like idea, but just had very much the idea of just like, there's certain moments and certain times where it really, and then to add, grief and tension with, grief, parents are dead, tension with, we have to deal with all that they had left behind. There's a movie actually. So I thought of this a while ago, and then I saw a trailer for this movie or TV show. I think it's a movie that came out on Apple TV, which if you can parse their fucking UI, have fun with that. There's a movie called Raymond and Ray with Ethan Hawke and I always forget his name now, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Shit.
Yeah. I had this.
I can see him. I can hear him.
Ewan McGregor.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's always just going to be Obi-Wan. Sorry, Alec Guinness. But it follows a different take on on basically the same circumstance of two brothers that are estranged dealing with their dead dad and burying him. But just this, I just kind of wanted to explore the idea of, loathing and family dynamics, somewhere between cathartic and kind of interesting to kind of play it out and realize part of writing it would be just having fun with it. I like to go bombastic, if any of you hadn't figured that out. And
you? No.
Me? Never. But also just exploring that idea, and part of it would be realizing how good I think that we have it. So it'd be an inverted wish fulfillment of a sort.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit us with something funnier as a recommendation.
Sounds good.
Because I've been watching the new show, I should preface, on Hulu called Reboot. Not to be confused with the old 3D cartoon, which is purportedly good, but I haven't seen it.
A little hard on the eyes, but otherwise great.
I've heard it's hard to look at, but it's a great show. So,
it's very much ahead of its time in a bunch of different directions.
Yeah,
but this one is of its time, as I understand.
This one is very much of its time, and it's hilarious. It's a show that is entirely carried by its character chemistry, because it is a show about making a show. The whole plot is that there was this like early 90s sitcom that was about, like a family living with the new stepdad. It's called Step Right Up, and everyone does the right thing. And so they're going to reboot it as the same cast 20 years later, except they're more human and don't just do the perpetually good thing and occasionally fuck up. And so you've got Keegan-Michael Key as the stepdad. You have Johnny Knoxville as the quote-unquote regular dad. Oh, I forget who the woman is in the show. You have Judy Greer as the quote-unquote love interest. You have Rachel Bloom and Paul Reiser as the writers of the show. And it's fucking funny. If for no other reason than watching Johnny Knoxville fucking shamble around a movie set looking perpetually lost and disgruntled is the goddamn best. Like, he's the butt of a lot of jokes, and it's great. And seeing Keegan-Michael Key try to take himself too seriously and try and be all theatrical when he's just supposed to be funny is outstanding. Yeah, and it does a good job, like, hitting some of the better somber notes about, like, kind of interpersonal relationships. And, like, there's a big kind of through line about a daughter fixing the relationship issues with their dad and the two writers, because he was absentee. And, like, kind of showing you can make a relationship even if it started out super jank. Like, and they do a decent job finding common ground and seeing value in each other. And there's good through line messages. And
oh, cool! I'm glad I remember seeing the trailer. I was a little worried it was going to be like kind of like a funny one note. It sounds like they found depth. That's really cool.
No, they find decent depth to it.
Yeah,
but it is you do much the same reason you would ever watch Friends, or you watch it for like cast chemistry. That is why you're watching this show. Like, let's be clear.
Cool.
You watch it because it's funny.
That makes a big difference. Cast chemistry is clutch.
Yeah. There's also, like, in one of the episodes, there's a thing with Keegan-Michael Key just playing basketball with, like, kids and just dunking on them and shamelessly shit talking because they provoke him, and it's the best thing I've ever seen. Like, it's just got some bizarre shit going on, and it's great.
Righteous. That's awesome. Well, that's it. How long is that? How long are those episodes?
They're 20 minutes, I think.
They're pretty lighthearted, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a very lighthearted
All right,
show.
let me introduce you to the opposite.
Oh boy.
If you, instead of 20 minutes of lighthearted fun, if you wanted 3.5 hours of Bollywood badassery, you got to check out RRR. RRR is a Bollywood movie that came out last year. You can find it on Netflix. You don't need subtitles, but they are cool to hear what they're actually saying, because it is all a visual treat, baby. It is 3.5 hours of dance-offs, of fight sequences, of slow-mo fires. Just like, oh my God. You could put it on the background, except it's going to draw your attention and you're not going to be able to look away because it's just awesome. Watch this on a friend's birthday. Spent 3.5 hours.
Light. I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
It really is. It is just everything you want out of a Bollywood movie. It is tremendous. Oh gosh, it's so much fun. It's long, but it is worth every minute. It is. Oh gosh.
Oh my God! Just looking at the poster for this show.
Oh yeah, it lives up to that. It lives up to that in a big way. Could not recommend higher enough.
For those who want quick context, the poster is a dude carrying another dude on his shoulders, and the guy's on top of, like, on this human elephant stack. The guy on top is just holding a shotgun in fucking either arm, and there's this massive explosion behind them.
Story checks out.
My God. Amazing.
Oh yeah. It's Bollywood goodness at its finest. Cannot recommend higher. It's, oh God, it's so good. So good.
Oh God,
all you need is a Netflix password and 3.5 hours to your name. What'd you say?
This is a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah. No, it's like good. It absolutely delivers on what you want, and then depending upon what you thought, some more. It is Bang City. Population, you guys. Could not recommend high enough.
All right. I have to watch this now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This poster, if nothing else, is so
yes.
What the fuck?
Uh-huh. The best part is it's a movie, since one, you're going to be watching it with subtitles. Also, the dialogue is fine, but it really doesn't matter. So it's like perfect popcorn hangout with a friends movie, because you're going to want to talk over it, and you should. Okay. Like, there's not, like, you're not going to talk over anything because you're going to be subtitles you can read if you wanted to, but it's all just like, it's like Bollywood perfectly encapsulated like that late 80s, early 90s American action-y goodness. It is just perfection.
Excellent.
Speaking of French-sounding things, got a song directed. Yeah, strong
Seamless.
Transition.
Nailed it.
Nobody noticed it. I've got a song direct this week that is an oldie but a goodie that I just spaced on, which is Papa Ute by Stromae, I'm presuming, considering it's French. I'm hoping that's how they pronounce it.
They're technically Belgian, but yeah.
They're Belgian? Oh, okay.
I believe so.
Is that true? Hold on. Stromae.
I mean, they speak French, but they're like French is one of the national languages.
Yeah, it's a Belgian rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer. Kudos.
Why do I know that?
That is impressive. Either which way, one of the coolest things. One, music video is amazing. Would highly recommend watching the music video. Song also holds up more than enough on its own. It's banger. However, the fun thing, if once you watch that, if you want to see one of the coolest ways to do a song at a live award show, is just watch. He does a live version at a award show, and it's not really a spoiler because it's a music video. But in the music video, the guy that actually sings the song is basically does his best impression of like a wax figure and stands completely still for for 95% of the music video. The way they did it at the award show is he pulls up in a limo, seated like complete like still figure. He has two people bring him in like he's a statue, put him on stage with the little kid who's in the music video dancing, and then he just pops out of it and just goes hard. It is one of the coolest, like, excellent. Yeah, that's how you do an award show like song piece. Let's go. It's like, that's awesome. They just like commit to the bit hard as hell. You got any music recs, or is it time to hit that outro hard?
I think it's time to let the people be free.
All right.
Because that is our episode. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you enjoyed it, please feel free to
like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
But don't forget, new episodes of Super Pros Bros come out the first and third Saturday of every month.